When you save on auto insurance for driving safe with USAA Safe Pilot, you'll feel like a big deal, even in a traffic jam. Save up to 30% with USAA Safe Pilot. Restrictions apply.
Cool movie opening up tomorrow that will be showing locally, and we're going to have some tickets. We'll tell you all about it at the Plaza Theater. But first, let's get into the topic. It's a topic that I think a lot of people struggle with, whether they struggle with it themselves, or maybe they have a loved one, a husband, a wife, a family member that struggles with it. But the topic is alcoholism. Now, Fram, you don't drink that much, right?
No, casual.
And if it's near me, if my arm is close enough to it to reach it, I will, I'll grab it. But the name of this is called Swim Tuff, and it's Tuff. That's a play on the guy's name. His last name is Tuff. I want to play you a little clip first before we talk to Ben. This is a clip from his documentary, Swim Tuff, which opens tomorrow. We'll have some free tickets here in just a sec.
I remember I would have full-out panic attacks on a regular basis, and I didn't know what they were. I relied on alcohol to just shut it out, shut off my mind, and kind of push through it. It was just an ongoing cycle, and it was very difficult for me to turn it all off. Then when that wall came crumbling down and I could no longer hide it anymore, I was done. That's when I met my sponsor. He was a marathon runner, and he started triathlon. And I was like, oh, and Ken, do you think that I could learn how to do a triathlon? Could I learn how to swim? Because I could do the other two. And he was like, yeah, the swimming part, you can learn that in no time. And that's where it all started.
Quite a story. That has been Tuff. Welcome, Ben. How are you?
Good morning.
I am great. Thank you for having me.
No, of course. Absolutely. It's an intriguing story, and we'll get into it. But basically, you're just hardcore is what it sounds like to me.
Well, it's kind of funny because I grew up here in Atlanta, and I recently went out to dinner with my old goalie coach, and he was like, I just don't get it, Ben. You were the biggest wimp ever in high school. Like the biggest wimp. And now you're doing these crazy swims and all these crazy things. What happened?
When did all of this start? When did your struggles start?
So, that's a real good question. And I think for me, my struggle started when I was in second grade. And that's when anxiety started. And that's when everything was kind of seated in my brain. And I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to get help for myself. And I didn't have outlets. And, once I started learning how to drink in age 17, 18, it was kind of all over because I finally found respite in a bottle. But it didn't really become like I wasn't drinking alcoholically until about 14 years ago. And I went down that hole very, very quickly. And in just a 3-year period of time, I just self-destructed. And 11 years ago, thank goodness, I got the help that I needed. And I chose to go and attend Silver Hill Hospital for rehab, and that's where it all started.
So we're talking to Ben Tuff, who has a new documentary that opens tomorrow. It'll be at the Plaza, and we have some free tickets we'll throw out here at the end of the interview. But I want to talk, because there's people listening right now who may acknowledge that they have a problem. There are also some people who think, oh, I don't have a problem.
True.
The question that I think people could benefit from hearing is, when did you make that jump from, oh, I'm just partying, having fun with my friends, to, man, I have a problem? What was it that made you focus on, oh my God, I've got to do something?
So that's a really, really good question, because our brains are so crazy and they can play so many tricks on us. And I always would tell myself, you know what, maybe if I sign up for this 5K run, I'll drink a little bit less. Or, maybe if I have a child, my own kid, and I have the responsibility of being a parent, then I'm going to drink less. And if I can do that, then I'll be okay. And if I can still get up early and go and teach in the morning, then I don't have a problem. There's nothing wrong with me. But it wasn't until everyone says you have to reach that rock bottom. And to me, that rock bottom can kind of be either really relatively high or it can be relatively low. And I ended up at the emergency room with having a panic attack. And the nurse came in, and I said to the nurse, I said, can you just let me in? Can you admit me, please? And my wife was at my side, and it was 11:30 in the morning. And she said, we can't admit you until your blood alcohol content gets below the legal limit.
Oh.
And I was like,
Wow.
uh-oh, this was from the night before. So my wife looked at me, and I looked at her. She kind of got up, she walked around, and she said, it's time. You're either going to choose your life of alcoholism and doing what you do, or you're going to choose us being a part of it.
Wow.
And you're not going to have both.
That is it. I could just visualize that whole thing because it's kind of embarrassing to you as you get, you know what I mean? You're like, oh man, that was last night's alcohol level.
That's when you know you're out of control. I'm really looking forward to this documentary, Swim Tuff, but I think what's fascinating is you being a marathon swimmer, you weren't even a swimmer. So how did that start?
So exactly like that kind of starting clip said, my first sponsor, Ken, said, just go try it. Just go give it a go. And it started as 1 length and then 2 lengths and then 4 lengths. And eventually I was getting to half a mile. But then after 6 or 7 years of triathlon, the real truth is my wife started to do triathlon, and she's a really good athlete, and she started to beat me in some of the triathlons. And I was like, this can't happen. I can't lose to my wife and the one thing I've been working towards. I said, but I find so much peace in the water, and I find I can process everything. I find that I can just be me, and I come out of it with this clear way of thinking. And I said, maybe I'll just go for some long distance swims. And, it started with the swim around Key West, which was 12 and a half miles.
Dude, that's a tough start. You're starting swimming around Key West. That is not a good starting point.
Yeah,
that is huge.
But I think that one of the pieces of alcoholism that I definitely stays with me is the go big, go home mentality. And it's like the all or nothing, throw it all out there. And my sponsor said, if you ever want to do something crazy, just sign up for it, because then at least you have that accountability and you're going to do it.
Great advice.
So this could be a good motivator. Yep, absolutely great advice. A free screening of this doc, How I Swam My Way Out of the Bottle, is tomorrow night, 7 p.m. at the Plaza Theater. You can go to themorningx.com to score passes, or just go to 99x.com and go to our Morning X page, and all the info is there on how you can get in for free. Where else will this be eventually?
So it'll start, we'll start to go to different film festivals across the world.
Got it.
It'll be fun.
Well, cool story.
Best of luck and thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your sobriety. I mean, that is a huge thing. You must feel so much better, just from a health POV, every day.
Every day. I went from 165 pounds to 220 of mostly muscle and a little bit of Ben and Jerry.
You were 165 when you were drinking?
Yep.
How does that... I thought drinking made you bigger.
Not when you drink as much as I do and you can't really eat.
Oh.
Well, this is going to be really inspirational, hopefully, for a lot of people.
Well, thank you very much, Ben. We appreciate you coming on. Swim Tuff is a documentary. Go to themorningx.com for more info. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Morning X with Barnes and Leslie. 99X.
Trying to grab all the groceries in one trip? Oof, not how you would have done that. Sometimes less is more. Like when you drive less and save with the USAA annual mileage discount. USAA. Get a quote today.